Hello, this is Nagendra from St. Peter's Engineering College, Department of Mechanical Engineering. Today we will discuss on design of machine events. In that topic is springs. Okay, we will see that the first definition of the spring. A spring arm is an elastic body. Whenever the spring is subjected to load, it will compress. After release of that load, after removing that load, it will come to the elastic, means it will come to the original position. That's why the spring is called as a elastic body. So now we will see that what are the applications of spring. Springs. These springs are used to absorb shocks and vibrations. Example: vehicle suspension springs, railway buffer springs, and elevators, and vibration mounts for machinery. Vehicle suspension springs means we are going to using automobiles, 6-wheelers, 2-wheelers, and all these things. These suspension springs we are going to using along with the telescopic shock absorbers. Railway buffer springs. So whenever we are traveling, we are so many times railway wagons, railway coaches, we are going to using this closely coiled helical springs. And where elevators are there, in the downside we are going to using this closely coiled helical springs. That also we are going to calling as buffer springs. Buffers springs we are going to using for descending of load. Suppose from top, suppose take the example of load is coming that from upwards to downwards, then these buffer springs will be used. And springs are used to store the energy. So best examples for clocks, toys, movie makers, circuit breakers, starters in IC engines. Now, third one, springs are used to measure the force. So spring scales we are going to using to measure that force. Okay, and the fourth one is springs are used to apply the force and control motion. So example, engine valve mechanisms. See, this rocker arm mechanism we are going to using in IC engineering. Cam and follower mechanism. So many lathe machines are drilling machines, shaper, grinding machines. We are using these cam and follower mechanisms. To engage and disengage of clutch, it is very most important. To engage the clutch and disengage the clutch means to transmit the power from one shaft to another shaft. We are going to using these clutches. Okay, over there also clutch springs we are going to using, and rocker arm mechanism. Springs are used either to apply the force or control the motion. Okay, to control the motion. Now we will see that classification of springs. First one, classification are there: helical springs. Next, conical volute springs, torsion springs, laminated springs, disc springs. These are the types of the springs. First, helical springs, we will see that. The helical springs, the most particular spring, these are this helical spring is classified two types. One is compression springs, another one is closely coiled helical springs, and that is subdivided into open coiled springs. So when we are going to calling as this helical spring is, the helix angle is less than 10 degrees, that is helical degrees, that helix angle, that is called as a compression spring. So now we will observe these two diagrams. One is whenever the load is applied on the spring, so see that we are compressing that spring. Over here you observe this figure, there is whenever the end of this spring we are applying the force. Over there in the downwards also we are applying the force or load we are applying, then the spring is going to be elongated. That's why the spring is called as elongation spring. and this spring is called as compression. Means we are applying the load to that both sides we are applying in the same direction. So this the spring is to be compressed. Another, we are having this helical springs. Also we are going to classify closely coiled helical springs, open coiled helical springs. So this already I told, it is less than 10 degrees, it is called as a closely coiled helical springs. If more than that helix angle is more than 10 degrees, that is called as helical spring. Open coiled helical spring. So these are widely we are going to using this helical coil, open coiled helical springs in generally clutches. So another one type is conical and volute springs. By the shape of this, by cone shape we are arranging the springs. So this spring is called as conical shape springs, and involutely we are arranging these springs. Observe these two figures. One is conical springs, another one is volute springs. Conical springs are used for shock absorbers. You know that two-wheelers particularly we can observe, we can see that conical springs, as well as in nowadays cars and heavy duty vehicles also we are arranging these conical springs. And in involute springs we are going to using widely we are going to using where the vibrations are more. Over there we are going to using these volute springs. Another, we will see that torsion springs. Torsion springs. Third type is torsion springs. In torsion springs, again we are going to classify. One is helical torsion springs, another one is spiral torsion springs. So you please clearly observe that helical torsion springs. See that how at the two ends it will be the free. Over there, here spiral torsion spring, one end only the free. We can observe. Helical type torsion springs we will use to wind up the springing and are used in electrical mechanisms. See, in electrical motors we are going to specially this helical torsion springs. At the same time, this helical torsion springs we are going to using force measurement also. This spiral springs we are going to using both. So many applications are there. Spiral torsion springs, that is one we are going to using watches, clocks, and whenever load tends to increase the coils. These are the applications for torsion springs. Another one is that laminated springs. These laminated springs we are going to using very widely in all automobile and railway wagons, and almost all we are going to using these laminated springs. So laminated springs means there are leaves are there. We are going to, that length of the leaf will be small, and we are going to connecting with the U-bolt, and we are going to connecting this is having two eyes will be there, and the two elliptical eyes we are going to connecting to the axle, and that load shocks this laminated spring will be absorbed. Another one is there disc and believable springs. Disc or believable springs, this we are going to using load deflection. Suppose load deflection means suppose load will be the vary, then we are going to using spring materials. Spring materials are made from high carbon steels, that is generally we are having 0.7 to 1% carbon, medium carbon steels, and spring brass, phosphorus bronze, monel and other alloys are used for corrosion and resistance spring. Here one word new word we are using, monel material. Monel material means nickel and cast iron we are going to mixing up, and we are going to manufacturing the springs. Now we will see that what are the terms are used in springs. So the following terms from the subject point of view for laminated springs and important of the subject point of view. One is that solid length, another one is free length, another one is that spring rate. We are a spring index, pitch, all these terms we are going to using. So solid length we are going to defining as solid length LS is equal to N dash into L, N dash into D. N dash is equal to total number of coils, D is equal to diameter of the wire. How we are going to defining this one? When the compression spring is compressed, the coils come into the contact each other, then the spring is said to be solid. Means suppose where we are applying the load on that springs, all coils should come into contact, then it is called as solid length. Another second terminology is there, free length. What is that free length? We can see that I given three figures over there, A, B, C. So the free length of the compression length are free loaded condition. It is equal to the solid length plus maximum deflection of the spring. So that is we written by mathematically LF is equal to free length of the spring is equal to solid length plus maximum compression plus clearance between the adjacent coils. So LF is equal to N dash D. What we defined earlier, length of the spring, solid length we are already defined. Solid length is whenever the load is applied on the spring, all the coils should come and contact with each other. Okay, so that is that. So now N dash D means the length of the spring, that is equal to N dash into D into delta max plus 0.15 delta max, or we can write in other words also, we can rewrite LF is equal to N dash into D into delta max plus N dash minus 1 into 1 mm. So now we will see that spring rate, spring index. First we will see that spring index. The spring index is defined as the ratio of mean diameter of the coil to the diameter of the wire. So that is a mean diameter of the coil we are going to denoted by capital D, and small d we are going to denoted by D. It is the ratio of mean diameter of the spring to the diameter of the wire, that is called as spring rate. Spring index, and the spring rate we are defined as, that is spring rate we denoted by K, that is W by delta. What is the W? What is the axial load applied on the spring to the deflection of the spring, that is called as spring rate, right? Next, pitch is defined as free length to the N dash minus 1. So what is the N dash? We know that number of active coils. Now we can write it to this pitch of the coil, LF minus LS divided by N dash plus D plus D plus D plus D. That is where LF is the free length of the spring, LS is the solid length of the spring, N dash is total number of the coils, D is the diameter of the wire. Now we will see that what is then free length of the spring LF we will rewrite as N into D into N minus 1. That is, now it will become, that equation will become as P is equal to LF by N minus 1, N, where N is the number of active coils. Now we will see that stresses in helical springs of a circular wire. Now let we consider D is the mean diameter, we know very well. D is the mean diameter of the spring wire, we know. N is the number of coils, we know that. Earlier we defined all the terms and terminology. D is the modulus of rigidity of spring material. W is the axial load, and another one is tau is the maximum shear stress. C is equal to spring index, that is equal to D by D, where P is pitch coils, we already defined. Delta is the deflection of the spring as a result of axial load when it is acting on the spring. So now we can observe that how that mean diameter will be there, how is the load is going to be applied, and how that axial load is applied on two types of free body diagrams. One is first one is axially loaded helical spring. So axially we are applying the load between these two ends, and I shown over here how the mean diameter will be there, and how this diameter of the wire will be there, how the axial load is working on the spring from starting to ending. So here another free body body diagram, it shows that a wire is subjected to torsional shear and direct shear. Torsional shear. So consider a part of the compressed ring as shown in the figure. Okay. Now that the load W tends to rotate the wire due to twisting movement. So whenever twisting movement will occur, the torsional shear stress will be induced. The spring under the action of two forces, that is W and twisting moment T. We know that as in applied mechanics, we are already learned that T is equal to W into D by 2, that is equal to pi by 16 into stress into D cube. We know that. Now torsional shear stress tau 1 is equal to 16 WD divided by 2 into pi into D cube, where tau 1 is equal to 8 WD into pi D cube. That is considered as equation 1. Consider as equation 1. The sectional shear stress, we are going to show in this two figures. One is torsional shear stress, how the torsional shear stress will be there, and how the direct shear stress will be there. So now we are going to considering to induce that shear stress. One is a direct shear stress acting on the load, axial load, and shear due to the curvature part. One is we are going to considering two stresses. One is shear stress due to load, axial load. Another one is shear stress due to the curvature part in the spring. So now we are direct shear stress. We are going to determine. We know that the formula load by cross sectional area of the wire. That is shear stress 2 W is 2 is equal to W by 4 pi by 4 into D square, that is equal to 4W by pi D square. So now we will see that what is that resultant shear stress. What is the real resultant shear stress? We know that resultant stress is tau 1 and tau 2, that is equal to 8 WD divided by pi D cube plus or minus 4W by pi D square. Suppose one note over here, we can see that positive sign will be used inner edge side. Another negative sign we are going to using outer edge of the wire. Inner edge of the wire we are going to taking positive. Outer edge of the wire we are going to taking negative sign. So now maximum shear stress, we are know that torsional shear stress plus direct shear stress tau 1 plus 1. So both we are going to taking two formulas, we are adding, that is finally we got it tau max is equal to Ks into 8 WD by pi D cube, that is equal to where Ks is the shear stress factor, that is equal to 1 plus 1 by 2C. So in order to, we have to consider maximum shear stress induced in the wire. We know that already tau max is equal to K into 8 WD by pi D cube, where K, what is that K? K is the stress factor due to Wahl's stress factor. So over here, earlier we wrote Ks, that is Ks is the shear stress factor. Here K is the Wahl's stress factor. Wahl's is the one of the scientist. He invented that this is a stress factors. That's why we kept as it is as Wahl's stress factor. Tau max is equal to K into 8 WC by pi D square, where K is the stress factor, Wahl's stress factor. Finally, he given one formula for us for easy purpose to know that the maximum stress on the spring K is equal to 4C minus 1 divided by 4C minus 4 plus 0.615 divided by C. So then spring index generally we are going to taking for a constant number, that is 3. Spring index always we have to take C. Note, now Wahl's stress concentration factor, again we will discuss. K is equal to Ks plus Kc. Ks is equal to shear stress of factor. Kc is equal to curvature stress factor. So deflection of the helical springs. Now we will see that derivation for deflection of the helical springs. Okay, now afterwards next video I will give you that what is the deflection and I will solve the problems. Thank you.